going to install this Provia storm door. This one did not come with instructions in the box. I don't know if that's normal for them to assume you know what you're doing. Just in case yours doesn't have instructions, I'm going to show you how to install this. It's real similar to a normal, any other storm door really, but this one, I really like this door. Heavy duty aluminum through and through, super well built. Lifetime limited warranty on this door. I think the door itself and that panel and the glass and stuff is covered. Anyways, we're going to start. I already took my measurements. This old vinyl door got their money's worth out of this. It's still in not bad shape, but I'm going to replace it anyhow. Pulling out the glass in the screen to do the installation is a good idea. I did notice, the hardware, those spring clips are real heavy duty. The glass and the frame's heavy duty. I mean, it's a well-built door. Spring hinges, they're not spring hinges, but they are pretty heavy duty as far as hinges go for these things. That's the door sweep. This would be a trim cover piece for the screw holes, and that last piece would be the header, which will probably start with the header and the hinge side of the door. Start with that, get your stuff out where you can get to it, and then that would be the right side or the latch side, but we're going to start with the hinge side. Save the cardboard, lean it up against your horses and use that as a work table if you're out in the field or in your backyard. Last thing would be the screen is spring loaded on one side. Figure out which side has the spring, and you can pop that loose and get it out of the way. That way you don't damage it while you're putting this thing in. There's those spring clips. So figure out which side you're going to hinge it on and put your hinge side up, and the outside would be facing you. Here's a box with all the hardware in it. I'm trying to find, okay, that's all the screws and stuff for the plungers. There's 2 screws for the door sweep on the bottom. And then here's the pack I'm looking for with all the other mounting screws and whatnot. Those little self-tappers, what I need for the hinge side. They even give you a little touch-up paint kit and the everybody's favorite safety chain there. I hate those things. The door sweep rubbers. I have to fill mine in a little bit. The door's a little big for this opening, so what I'm going to do is I got to choke it in just a little bit and fill that gap. I just ripped a little shim for the top. I want to make sure these pieces fit nice and flat and they're not rocking in that opening. So just temporarily got that held up high. I got my filler piece attached on the left side, which would be the hinge side. Kind of splitting the difference here, centering that header piece from left to right. Try to make it as even as possible because I don't want to cut the piece for the right side just yet. I do want to go ahead and cut them to length, or the height anyways, which is an 1/8 inch shorter than your measurement. And what I did is I use a carbide blade on my saw, an old beat 'em up blade, safety glasses, and just cut it real slow on that. It will trash a blade. That's why I used an old crappy blade rather than a hacksaw. It just makes for a nicer cut. So here, the hinge piece, I'm just dry fitting this thing, make sure it fits, and then I'll go ahead and work on attaching it to the door, which you want to leave it up on the top about maybe 1/8. And this thing is kind of nice. It has a little lip there to hook the hinge in into to kind of hold it there for you, which most the other storm doors do not have that. You got to kind of hang on to it. So self-tappers, these little self-tapping panhead, real flat screws. Go easy if you're using a drill. Don't over tighten these things. You just need to snug them and you're done. I did use a pilot hole on the first one to make sure that it didn't move when I screwed it in. And then we'll go ahead and do the rest of those. Here's a tip. Make sure your weather stripping isn't hanging out. Make sure you got it nice and flush when you cut it. Otherwise your weather stripping is going to be cut a little bit short. The header piece, I got a screw on the hinge side to hold it up there, and then I screwed in, put the door in, and put a screw at the top and a screw at the bottom to hold it while I do the these jam screws on the inside. Tighten them up snug, don't crank on them, you'll bind the hinge if you're not careful. But get all those in. There's a pack of 8 of those. After you get those in, you can see I got it tight to the hinge, tight to the little filler piece I got in there to keep that from moving. That's going to support that hinge side, because that's where all the wear and tear is as far as that goes. Don't want that to move. So I went ahead and put in the rest of the screws on the hinge side on the outside after you do the jam screws. Get all those mounting screws in. Like I said, just snug them up tight. Don't over tighten anything. And then you can start working on, I'm just kind of test fitting my latch side piece. And now I can cut the opposite side. I don't want it to be too tight, but you want it to be pretty snug. And then I can get this piece in, mostly just to keep this thing sturdy. Make sure your reveal's nice on the top, the gap there, and then you can finish screwing off the top. There's three to four screws on those, and then you can put in your latch side. Just make a nice, maybe 1/8 inch gap. Nice thing about this hardware, drilling the hardware for the door, it's got this peel and stick template, which 1/8 inch pilot holes on those. I sped everything up so you won't have to watch me too long doing this, but and then most of the holes get wind out to 5/16. The hole for the deadbolt, I believe, is 7/8, 3/4 7/8, something like that. And then the door hardware, you can see this is nice heavy duty hardware. You need to orient the handle which way it's going, whether depending on where you want it, I guess. And it comes with this pin that the fat side kind of locks it in place, which will hold it there till you get it mounted. The top part would be the handle, bottom would be the deadbolt. So slide that onto your pin. Get your screws started by hand. Make sure they're you're not cross-threading or anything like that. Use a screwdriver on these. I wouldn't use a drill on this stuff. It's too easy to booger up them screws. So tighten it up with screwdriver, and then the deadbolt, it's got that little pin. I don't think it really matters which way that goes, but you will need at least one of the shims that they send you, and then push that pin into the opposite side where the lock is, and get your screws started by hand, and then finish them off with a screwdriver. Like I said, if you don't use a shim, chances are the lock's not going to turn very easy. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my door stop back on the inside all the way around, and that's going to clean it up and give me a place to put the strike plates on the doors. So make sure the door's in where you want it. Rather than mark the holes, I try to mark the corner of the latch plate there as best you can. Try to get things centered and looking nice. And then when you do drill the holes, pilot holes, I suggest for most of the stuff that you're drilling here, I would do a pilot hole for most of it, and try to hit the center of that slot rather than top or bottom, just so you have a little bit of adjustment if you need them, or if you need it, I guess. So then snug those up. This is okay using a drill. Like I said, just don't crank on this stuff. It's not necessary. And then if there's a little bit of adjustment, especially on the latch itself, that top one, you got a little bit of room to move that around, which I did have to do. But you want it to, shut pretty snug up against that weather stripping. This is a screened-in porch, so it's, it's not crazy important. This particular door has two plungers, closers, one on the top and one on the bottom. So that's where I'm going to mount those legs that hold that. This sweep piece, it is angled on the inside if you look at it, but if you put the holes towards the inside, you'll be good to go, because that's how it's oriented. There again, try to drill your holes in the center of the slot, so there's a little bit of adjustment. Not that you're going to need it, but on these plungers, that pin and that ring, I usually pull that rod out just to fuzz and hook the ring before I do this part here. Now mark those and screw those in. The screw on the end of that plunger, that's the adjustment form as far as how fast or slow it closes. Adjust those till you're happy with it. You want it to get to the end and kind of pull shut. So that's good. Here's everybody's favorite safety chain. I hate these things, but you know, if it's windy, it might be a good idea. So 19 inches out from the jamb, mount that top piece at a 45 roughly, and then the other piece measure off the door 19 inches and mount that with the hook part towards the hinge, and then hook the other end of that chain up to that, and the lowest point of that chain is where you want to put this spring. And then to mount the spring is roughly 3 inches to that pin. I'm just doing this to show you how to do it. I'm going to end up taking this off because I don't really need it. And that'll keep it from, the door from getting blown out and busted up. But I got too much going on there with that plunger, and I don't need it because I'm probably going to leave the glass out, and it's just going to be screen. So I don't really need that safety chain. Last thing is this trim piece, covers the screws. It is made out of aluminum, so once you get it in there, you can tap it with your hammer real lightly to snap it in there, or you can use a rubber mallet or a piece of wood and a hammer. So I really like this door, lifetime warranty, so hope that helped.